Hello, hello. What's up, guys? Happy Wine Down Wednesday. Let's see some people get in here. My baby is always hyping me up. I love you, babe. Let's get some. It's Wine Down Wednesday. All right, here we go. Thank you guys for joining. Go live. Let's play a little music in the back. Let's see. And hi.
Hey,
Welcome.
thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining. I'm so
Of course.
excited.
Of course,
I
me
feel like
too.
this is the first time we actually get to do this.
I know.
That's insane. Like we were on the phone, we were texting, we were like, oh my God,
I
all
know. Now
this
we get to keep
time.
it
And
real.
right, right. Like, first of all, happy Wine Down Wednesday.
Yes,
You got
girl.
your
Cheers.
glass is fancy. I like
Thanks,
that.
girl.
That's
I barely use it, so I was like, I'm using it today.
yes.
With the
My
baby running
mom,
around, I have to be like careful.
I feel you. Oh my God, he's so cute. He's moving so fast.
Thank
He's
you.
growing
Thank
so
you.
fast. He's adorable. God bless.
He is. Thank you so much.
My mom literally hooked up Wine Down Wednesday today. So, girl,
Oh, she
girl
got
just want to have
customized.
wine. You know how she is.
She got good taste.
Thank you guys for joining. Okay, I feel special today. Freaky Yayo in the building. J
He's
Rax
in
in
the
the
other room.
building. He's literally in the building and in the building.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure you share the live. Um, so like I said before, Wind Down Wednesday is literally like chill vibes. I don't ever want to make it feel like an interview or like so formal because the whole point is to wind down. The whole point is, let's chill, let's chat, and let's help each other grow in whatever way that can be. So first of all, let's talk about how you got started. Um, give us the intro.
Yeah. So initially, I was like, I'm a fashion stylist. That's my passion and my like regular, I guess, not really day
Career.
job, but my career.
Mm-hmm.
And during the pandemic, that obviously took a major halt.
Right.
And I just kind of realized at the time that not that it's not important, but it's a luxury of a career. And I
Mm.
kind of knew that when I didn't know how long the pandemic was going to take to, pass and whatever.
Right.
So I was like, um, I got to think of something. And I had a baby during the pandemic. So I was like, I need something that I could do that is cost effective. Like, I don't have to spend so much money into it. It's something that I don't have to have a lot, like, I don't have to store a lot of stuff because we don't have the space. With a baby, we had to move into a bigger space. So I was like, I want to do something that I enjoy doing, that I already kind of do,
Right.
that is cost effective. Like I don't have to put a lot of money into it right away, and something that I could just build and have fun with, and also do if I'm with the baby, and I could just focus on that for a couple minutes.
Right.
So a friend of mine actually was doing it in my hometown, and I had sent one to my mom for Mother's Day, and my mom was like, "It is so lovely. Like it's such a lovely gift to get."
Right.
And the charcuterie box. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing that because I already make them for guests. I make them when I go to people's houses. I always bring one. So, and I had spoken to my husband about it, Brian, and he was like, just start a business, like just have fun with it and just start a
Right.
business and
Let it
whatever.
flow. Let it be whatever you want it to be. I love that. Shout out to your
Exactly.
husband for supporting the dream because at the end of the day, that support is so clutch, especially in the beginning.
100%. He was always like, from the moment we found out that I was pregnant and we were going to have a baby, he was very like, what do you want to do after you have the baby? Because he knows that I'm like a hustler. He knows that I like to work. I've always, done a few
Right.
jobs. Like I've always had a lot going on, and it was extremely difficult for me to be an at-home mom only. So when he's like, I'll help you start the business. You just pick
Mhm.
what you want to do. So when I said I was going to do that, he was like, hell yeah, that's like the
Awesome.
perfect thing for you to do. It's
Perfect.
so easy.
It's easy, it's fun, it's a necessary.
Totally.
Every gathering, it's like, why not have this? You know what I mean? So,
100%.
I want everybody who's joined, who's on right now, just to make sure you're following Stylist Sonia, Artisan by Sonia. She makes beautiful charcuterie boards.
Thank you.
They are customized, they are, specialized. Like, I had the pleasure of having it for my birthday, and when I say there was not a crumb left, literally it was like completely gone. And I love that. For me, that's so satisfying. I hate
Right.
food waste. So for me, it's like when something is so good that it's like sold out, I'm like, yes, win. Like,
Right.
that's it for me.
And that's, of course, a big compliment for me too, just to see and know that people are into it. And I love the idea of even customizing it for an occasion. So for your birthday, we did the whole 31, which was
Yes,
really
no,
cool. And then
really cute.
Easter, I did a charcuterie board at home for Easter, which I didn't even post, but I'm so bad at that. I think that's the
We
one
have
thing
to
I have
get
to
to
like,
that. I got you though. I got you.
I know, I
That's where I
know.
come in. We got a question here in the comments. Let's make sure we answer. So, do you ship via mail? So,
I wish
okay, you would.
I would, but I'm really big on it being fresh. Even at your birthday, I went there
Right
and set it up. I cut up everything. I did everything then and there. I would
at the
love to
at
get
the
to the
place.
point to
Right
ship it out, but I want
at
to
the
keep the
moment, no.
integrity and keep it
Yeah,
as fresh as possible.
I love that. I love that you have that awareness and that so early on you're keeping with that, because I feel like as soon as we try to do too much, that's when it gets chaotic and it kind of loses its flow of what it was or what it should be.
Right.
And when I got there, I got to my party late. When I got there, like, it was still like, oh my God, like perfect. Like, my mom low key was like not letting people eat. They were like, let Jenny see it first, please. Like,
Right.
don't eat everything, please. And it was so pretty. It was so
Oh, I'm
fresh.
so
It was
glad
so
you enjoyed it.
delicious.
And
I
thank you for
loved it.
supporting because I'm also new to New York in a way. Like I used to live
Yeah.
here before, but I'm from Toronto originally. So for me to get my business up and running, I
Yeah.
love that family and friends and people are ordering it
Absolutely.
and
And
putting my business out there.
we have to get you like out there, because I feel like there's such a big need for things like this at gatherings, at events, just on the weekends, so that people can
Yeah.
just enjoy their time together and not have to worry about doing that, you know? Um,
And I
but
love the idea of sharing. That's the biggest thing with a charcuterie board is that you
you
share
have to
your food
share.
with somebody.
Yes.
And I love that aspect.
And I
Brian and I,
kind
my
of,
husband, we're talking about that actually. Sorry to cut you off.
no,
And
yeah.
we were saying like sharing food is such an awesome experience. Gives you
Hmm.
something to talk about. It gives you something to relate to.
Hmm.
It gives people the chance to try something new and maybe you've already tried it. So it kind
Yeah,
of it brings you together. That's one thing I
absolutely.
noticed.
I mean, I think it's like it's one of those global things where no matter what culture, everyone gathers around food. And food is
Exactly.
such a comforting thing because it usually means family time. It usually means some kind of celebration. And especially here in the United States, I feel like we're so accustomed to just like an abundance of food all the time that we take for granted that, food is also a luxury to a lot of people. And
Totally.
when we have like these gatherings and we do these things, I love to see, flexible type of displays where it's like, you know what, we're gonna have a little bit of everything and nothing is gonna go to waste. You know what I mean? Like, it's all gonna be edible. It's all gonna be used. Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly, especially during the pandemic. Like Brian said, I respectfully was so sheltered that when, December came around and kind of talking about my birthday, and, my boyfriend said, let's just have a party. Let's just launch your blog. And I said, it's been so long that I don't have a party, that I don't have interaction with people like that, that I'm like, what do I do for food? Because I'm always like, on my dad's type of time, like, let's get 3 courses and appetizers and everything. Like, And
Right.
like, no, 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 no. I don't want to complicate it, but I want it to be nice. I want it to be good. I want people to be like, wow, this was nice. And that
Right.
was literally what everyone said about the charcuterie boards.
Oh, I'm so
So
glad.
for
Thank you
me,
so
it's
much.
like I love that aspect of it too. And I think it's like you are a stylist, right? So you're styling the food on a board.
100%. That's
It
exactly
you
why I feel like
made
I do
it
that.
like, like aesthetically pleasing, which is not easy to do. Like I've tried to make my own
Right.
boards. Granted, they people eat it, but they don't take pictures. They're not like, wow.
Right.
It's different when you have an eye for design and what works where. Like
Totally.
it just makes everything that much nicer. So,
Totally.
um,
Thank you.
but I want to give you time to kind of talk more. Absolutely, family first, J-Rax. You know what it is.
Aw.
I love you guys. So I want to give you more time to talk about the business itself. What has it been like running it, like, or I should say starting it, and what is it like running it right now for you?
So, starting it was kind of easy because I just kind of looked up inspiration even when I started the page itself before I had even made charcuteries for people that I like to sell, I mean. I just looked up inspiration and I was like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, there's so many platforms where you can get inspiration that I was like, this is like a no-brainer. So once I gathered the inspiration and I made a folder in my photos, and I was like, I just kept looking at it and I was like, okay, let me go and see in my own neighborhood what I can source. So even though I
Mm,
wasn't buying that stuff right away, I was like, I know I can go to that store and get this quality of meats, and I can go here and get the
right.
cheeses, and I can go there and get the boxes, and I was just sourcing all the things I would need.
I
And
love
I
that.
sat, yeah. And then my
Yeah.
husband was like, why don't you sit down and write how much everything costs? Like just a startup fee, how much
Mhm.
everything will be. The boxes, the sizes, like all the logistics that you have to think of, write it down. How
Yeah.
much does it cost? So I did that. And then I sat down and I was like, wow, this isn't that like expensive. But what does get expensive is when you start making a bunch, or when, I don't want to
Hmm.
go to the cheapest grocery store and get cheap meats that I don't know how long they've been there, all that. So I was like, I want to go to like butcher shops. I want to go to like nice places and get good
Quality.
quality food because you can
Right.
taste it.
You
You
can
can,
taste the difference. And I was gonna say, sometimes people will skimp on certain things. And that was something that I have to say, like, the one thing that I immediately recognized as soon as I looked at the board, I was like, oh my God, this is really fresh stuff. And you could see it in the produce, you could see it in the meats, you could see it in the cheese. I said, oh my gosh, this is really fresh stuff, because sometimes people put together a board and it's like, oh, I bought some cold cuts that were like prepackaged, like boar said, whatever, like,
totally, totally.
and that's fine. It's cool if that's what you want to do at home and whatnot, like, cool. But when
Right.
you're giving this service and the way that you're doing it and the integrity of it's gonna sit for 4 hours outside, you need some quality stuff. You don't want anybody getting sick. You don't want anybody complaining later on, like,
100%.
God, I ate
And
this
that's the
meat.
main thing. When you're dealing with food, you don't want anyone to get sick. So for
It's
me,
so perfect. Yeah.
I've I've been guilty of going before I had my charcuterie business of going and buying a pre-made charcuterie board at
Hmm.
Trader Joe's or wherever.
Hmm.
And they're expensive. The cheeses that they put on there and meats, I'm like, I could go buy that and just make it myself. Like I'm spending $80 on something
Hmm.
that doesn't even come on a cutting board. It doesn't come in a nice box. It's just kind of whatever. And it's
Right.
cool. Like, don't get me wrong. If you're in a rush and whatever, by all
It's
means.
nice. It's nice when you have someone put it together. It's just so
100%.
much, it's just so much nicer to, like, the reveal. Everything just felt like
Right.
luxury without breaking the bank. You know what I mean? Like, I
100%.
literally was like stressed because I'm like, all right, I have a party, I have liquor, I want to make sure people are eating, but I didn't want to do anything that was like, I gotta serve, rice and pasta gets messy. And I'm like,
A
I don't want
hundred
to do that.
percent.
I don't even eat that way anymore. I feel like since the pandemic, I've become like a cereal grazer. I snack
Same.
5 times a day. I do not eat like huge meals anymore. I'm very like, I eat when I'm hungry. I pick here and
Right.
there. I'm trying to be a lot more aware. And I feel like with the grazing boards, it gives you that freedom of like, I'll nibble now, I'll nibble later. I'm gonna
Right.
I'm gonna have a drink. I'm gonna go take
Right.
pictures. I'll
And
be
it goes
back.
good with drinking. I feel like
So
I don't I if I'm drinking, I don't necessarily want rice and pasta as you said or whatever. I kind of just want
right.
something to snack on. Chips are great or whatever kind of snacks or
And I
finger
love
food
that
you
you
put out.
accommodated because I have a junk food junkie. And the chips came in so clutch. That I
I'm
think that was
glad.
literally the first thing that went. It was like boom,
I
chips
believe
are on.
it. I
And
believe
then
it.
I think the only thing I ended up like at the end, it was like just a little tiny bit of produce of the fruits, and I was like, this is not going to waste. I'm taking this home. And I
Right.
took it home, and that was perfect in the morning. Like that was like hangover helper.
100%. Exactly.
um
A nice little
so
snack.
yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. But
Thank
tell me
you.
more about what is it like on the day to day. So if you were to say to someone who wants to get into this business, what are the three things you wish you knew before?
Definitely know your market. So one of the first things that I did um, is I reached out to like cafes in my neighborhood that
Hmm.
that sell like how do you call it? Like they sell like baked goods, but they don't make them. So they get
Okay.
them from somewhere else, from like a bakery. So I reached out to a couple cafes and I was like, "Hey, would you be interested in getting or putting my like charcuterie cups
Mm,
in your cafe and like I'll deliver them daily whatever and then we could just feel it out. I could bring a couple for the first time and whatever." So what I wish I had done with in regards to that is that I had reached out to like a wider market. A lot of places didn't respond because they were kind of like iffy about it, but I wish that I had reached out to more people. I only reached out to like a handful of people and I wish I would have kind of spread my wings more in that regard.
mm-hmm.
I wish that I would have, not that I didn't do my research, but I really questioned myself at the beginning when I was making up prices and all this stuff because I didn't really know. Even for example, with doing the numbers, I had to like it took me so long to source those numbers
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what to use. I was like at one point, and you don't even know this, I was
Right.
making the numbers out of cardboard at my house. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't do this. I can't, I'm going to go crazy. I'm also watching a 1 year old trying to
Right. Right.
tape and paste and like arts and crafts these like numbers, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I sat there and I like went on Pinterest and I went on TikTok, and someone you said get a piñata and cut it out, and that's actually what I ended up using for the numbers.
That's insane. You know what's crazy is like I saw it and I was like, oh snap. I didn't even realize they would be like this big. I thought they would be a little smaller. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw them.
Well,
And then
for the
I
amount that
saw,
I charged, I want it to be like, I want it to reflect.
yes. And
I always
honestly,
worry
it
that if
was it
someone,
was it was perfect. Honestly, I felt like I got more than what I paid for because at the end of the day, it was in the quality. You know what I mean? Like
right,
the quantity was perfect. It was on point. It was probably a little more than what I needed in reality.
right,
But when I tasted everything, I was like, oh, this is good stuff, you know? And it's like, I
right.
had my dad there, and my dad is like the only food critic. Anybody who knows this guy is like,
I know he's very bougie in his taste.
him and his mouth, oh my God, that palate is ridiculous. But he ate half of the meats on that charcuterie because he came in and he was like, well, this is what we're eating. I'm like, yeah, this is what we're eating. He's like, okay. And he just went for it. So
Right. No, he was there
I
watching me set
really,
up, and I was like, I was nervous because I'm like, oh, I know he's like, he's a tough crowd, but
he,
in a good way.
but right, because he's seasoned. He's just seasoned. He's been
Right.
around. But it's so good when you see everyone enjoying it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Totally.
because it's such a big difference. Like my partner has the opposite palate, it's like give me all the junk food, you know? And my dad is like on the opposite spectrum. So for your board to fit both, it was just perfect. Nobody felt cheated. Nobody felt like they couldn't eat what was on there. It was perfect. And then the little honey jar, oh my God, you killed me with
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh.
I was like, I'm keeping this forever. I didn't even want to use the honey at first. I was like,
Oh.
no, this is too cute. It
And
was
those are the little
perfect.
touches that I think make the business important. Is the little, like, I
Yeah.
custom ordered all those honey jars with the little honey
It
twister
had
thing.
a
I don't even
little
know what it's called.
honeycomb in it. I
Yeah.
was like, are you kidding? I think I have a picture of me like looking at it and like they caught me like my mouth open, like, oh my God, I gotta find that picture. It was so funny. Um,
Oh,
yeah, it was a great time and we really truly enjoyed those boards.
I'm
I
so
want
glad.
let me see what thank you guys for, tuning in and showing love. Does anybody on the live right now have a question in particular? Because if not, I want you to kind of give us anything you want as far as like life and business, being a new mom. I feel
For
like
sure.
the being a new mom kind of shifted you to the let me figure out what makes more sense for my family.
100%.
How
100%.
how I mean, I feel like because my daughter is 8 years old,
My
so
God.
I feel like I only just made that shift. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yes. And
Wow.
respectfully, when I realized I'm like, okay, stylist Sonia is styling food. Okay, this is cool. I'm like, this is so motherly. Like, she just
Right.
took motherhood like and went full throttle. Like, and for me it gave me joy because you're married to my cousin. I know how important family is for him, and for me it was just like, oh my God, this is perfect because she's going to still have her passion of styling and doing something fun and creative, but now it's in a scale of something I think a little more necessity based and a little more family oriented. So
Totally.
how was that for you?
Honestly, I think one of the biggest things was, as I mentioned before, I always been a hustler. So I knew I was like, I don't, at one point, I used to bartend. And after I
Mm,
gave birth, I was like, I think I'm gonna go back to bartending to make money. And Brian was like, you don't have to do that. Like, you
right.
can if you want, but you don't have to do that. And it was just the like instinctual, like, let me just make money, let me do something. And by no
Yeah,
means are we like strapped and I have to do it. It was just more of like, let me get out of the house and kind of feel like me again. Because I
absolutely.
kind of just felt like I was attached to this baby and I lost my identity in a way.
It's
So
1,000% normal. And I feel like
totally,
this is why we need more of this so that women know like you're gonna feel like you lost yourself for a minute there, but you find yourself again. Just make sure that you have people around you who are encouraging that and who are giving
100%.
you the support that you need to do that.
Honestly, I come from a small family. I have a sister and she has a 15-year-old, so we haven't had a baby in our family for a long
Oh my
time.
gosh.
And like Brian, he comes
Yeah.
from a bigger family. There's a lot of kids. You
Huge.
guys like you guys have a big family.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I didn't see a lot of what I'm going through on my side of the family, and I didn't have a lot of advice, and I didn't have a lot of like anybody directing me or being like what you're
Oh,
going through is like normal or whatever. I also come from a
yeah.
European family and they're very like just tough it out,
Right. It's a little
whereas like
right. It's a
whereas like
little different.
Brian's sisters really stepped in and were like, just like chill, enjoy being a mom, like
Right. It takes
give
a
give
village.
yourself a year, like don't be
Give
hard on
yourself
yourself because not
time.
right. And not only was I going through like a crisis of losing myself, but even like physically, I didn't feel like myself after. I
Right.
didn't feel like myself in so many ways. And I also felt a guilt of like having, like not being able to contribute financially. And, my husband, like, he always was like, don't worry about that shit. Like, I got us. Like,
Right.
I was like, all right, that's
I
just not
I
me.
just feel like,
Like,
right. I just feel
like the fire in me is like, no.
right. I feel like because I know how our family is kind of wired, now I'm like, of course, like of course it's working in this way because the way we work is like, listen, a baby is a baby, but it takes a village.
It
And
does.
mom is there, grandma's there, uncles are there, aunts are there, cousins are there. Everybody's there. Like, what do you need? How can I help? Because they know when you have a little tiny one at home, it's like impossible to even think for yourself. Like it becomes
Honestly, I
overwhelming.
praise single mothers because I'm sitting here and I have help and I'm like,
How?
not struggling, but I'm like, man, like, how do you keep it all together and juggle a
Yeah.
career? I'm lucky that I'm not forced, not even forced, but I'm lucky that I'm not pushed into like having to work right away. I don't know how single mothers do it. I praise them. Like, I give them the highest praises because I'm
It,
like, man, this is tough.
it's
Like,
rough. It is
it's
rough.
tough.
But let me tell you something. At the same time, I think that what you're doing right now is also a reflection of you believing in yourself. So you had to have that belief in yourself. What would you say kind of gave you that? Like the courage or just the motivation to say, you know what, I can do this. I know I can. What would you say that came from?
It definitely came from my partner, like my husband. Number one, he pushed me a lot, but it also came from like looking back at the old me and being like, don't forget who the fuck you are. Like,
Yes,
don't
receive.
forget who you are.
Receipts, all the things you
Right.
accomplished before you had a baby. Because
A
before you had a
hundred
baby,
percent.
you were doing shit. Like, that's always been
Right.
my thing. So that's why I say, like, how did you do it so fast? Because for me, I feel like because I was, and again, family business, very different from corporate America, but I felt like even though when I had my baby, my upper management, you could say, had to sit down with me like, hey, like you're a mom now. So like, you want to shift gears? You want us to kind of do something here? And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm running this ship. What do you mean? I'm not,
Right.
what? No, I can do it all. I was very much like scared of giving up my identity at work of being that. And at home, I was just like, no, I'm not. Yes, I'm a mom, but I'm not a stay-at-home mom. This is not me. So two
Right.
months, I was like, bye, I'm gonna go to work. Like it was
Right.
not like so instinctual for me to stay home and take
It's
care of
hard.
me.
It's hard. Even
And
now, I wake up every day and I'm like, why am I in this house? Like, I get cabin fever. And then I'm like, just chill. Like, this is
right, like you get to be home.
because you almost feel like you're missing out on your child growing up by feeling guilty and also by like having this internal battle of I need to get back out there, but also I don't want a stranger to raise my child. I don't want to depend on people to raise my kid. I We want to enjoy our baby right now
Right.
and that's why the charcuterie thing was honestly the perfect
I
thing
love.
for me because it
Yeah.
was something I can do from home. It's something I can do. I even like I sew. I started like a mini sewing business, and right before I gave birth,
Oh.
I do alterations. I like make custom clothes. Like I do a bunch of stuff, but I was doing that before I gave birth, and I had a couple clients in the city, and like things were going really well. But after I gave birth, I was like, I can't sew and be attentive to a child because with
Mm.
sewing, you have to be really
Oh,
attentive to what you're doing, and you
yeah.
have to like you can't really sew and stop to like go attend to your kid. Whereas
No.
like a charcuterie board is you could do that whenever, like it doesn't matter. But with the sewing, I couldn't. So I had to kind of shift out of that. And that was I felt really disappointed in myself because I'm like, I just started this business. I'm like hyping it up. And now I have to take a break because I can't do it. And
Mm.
Brian would be like, well, you could do it at night when I'm home. But then I just didn't want to at one point because I felt forced.
Right. It felt like not natural. It wasn't flowing for you at that point.
Right.
Because it was, I feel like as soon as it stops flowing, what we have to realize is like, it's not working for me right now. It's not that I can't do it. And
Right.
part of me is like working through that even now. And I started my life coaching. I'm doing, all the things. And still sometimes I'm like, should I be doing this? Should I be here? And then as soon as the thought comes in, it's almost like I got a confirmation. Like 5 minutes later, it's like, nope, this is what you got to be doing. And
Totally.
here is why. Like, even the Wind Down Wednesday was a dream. It was a thought. It was not something that I said, I'm going to elaborately plan this out. I literally said, I want to be able to talk to women about their business and about what they're doing and about what they're going through in a natural, organic way. I don't want it to be like forced or, you know, made into something more than what it needs to be. I want it to be free flowing because
Right. Like light and breezy and
light and breezy, airy, feminine, like just
right.
femininity in its entirety.
I think it's
And
awesome that you're doing that because you're giving people the platform to be able to speak when they might not have the opportunity to do that, or maybe they can,
right,
get their thoughts out, or maybe realize something about their business that they never even realized in a way.
right. I feel like, especially for me, it's so rewarding when I can highlight women who are doing the things that you're doing while having a child, while having a relationship, while having, a whole family to attend to at the same time. Because I feel like sometimes we say, oh, I would do it if I this, or if I had that.
Mm-hmm.
And we put all these excuses of like, oh, I would do it if I, oh, of course she can do it because X, Y, and Z. But in reality, we can all do it. It's all about
100%.
setting your mind to it and, putting together the plan.
A
Babies,
100%.
babies.
I think the biggest thing, just going off of what you're saying too, is like we have all these ideas and then the execution part is the hardest.
Yes.
And
Have
executing is the
execution.
biggest thing. It's like once you start doing it, the charcuterie thing was just a thought. I'm like, oh, it's fun, it's easy, I could do it. And it's been hard too. There's been times where I don't hear from anybody or I have absolutely nothing going on with it. And then I'm beating myself up and it's like all these internal thoughts of like, oh, I don't need to do it anymore. Oh, forget it. Oh, heck
Right.
it, whatever. All this stuff, all this doubt, like,
Good.
comes
Right.
trickling in. And I'm like, don't let those hooks sink in me. Because
Hmm.
the moment that I let them and I give up, it's gonna go down the drain. And
Of
even
course.
if even if there's months that are dry, even with my styling career, I went into that 9 years deep and like I felt doubt the whole ride. But more amazing things would happen. And it happened later. Like you have to kind of earn those stripes and put in the work.
Absolutely.
So I'm realizing the same with the charcuterie thing. Like it's not gonna blow up right away. It's not gonna be something that
But it could. I'm
it could, and
just saying,
be ready for it,
be
like
ready for it.
be
Exactly.
ready for it, accept it, and have fun. And that's the
Embrace
main thing. I
it.
just want to have fun with it. I
Exactly.
don't want, I'm not planning on opening a storefront right now or anything like that. It's
Right.
just like something that I'm enjoying doing that's light and breezy
Right.
and just fun and catering to people's tastes and just
Something
offering
that you
something
enjoy
that,
to do. I
yeah,
feel like it's so important for people to know you can go in business because you enjoy doing it and not because you want to make a killing. You don't
right,
have to. There's no right or wrong as far as that goes. For me, I feel like because I'm a multifaceted individual, I've always thought like, oh no, I have to focus on this or oh no, I have to focus on that. And it's like, no, you can do a little bit of everything. Just make sure that it's what you want to do. Because whatever it is
100%.
you want to do, you're gonna give it the energy that it needs. And
Totally.
like with the charcuterie, now that the spring is about to sprung, spring is about to
Right.
sprung, it's gonna start clicking. And you know, how do you feel about, let's say, pop-up events? Would you do pop-up
100%.
events?
Absolutely. I'm down to do anything. You know, the one thing I love about the charcuterie is that I'm not living the same life every day.
Right.
Every day is a new day. Every board is a new board.
It's so
Every
fun.
box is a new box,
Right.
So I feel like the exciting part about it is that I can showcase different aesthetics when it comes to them.
Mhm.
I can even, like you're saying, with the spring, this past weekend we did my husband's birthday at the park,
Yes,
and
it
I
was so
didn't bring a
cool.
charcuterie board, to be honest, because we just had
Right.
so much other stuff going on. But we were talking after, and I was like, we should go to the park and just bring a charcuterie board and a bottle of wine and have a blanket, and you could even do that. Like, there's so
Mhm.
many. You don't need to have an event to enjoy a
Exactly.
charcuterie board. You could literally
I
just
was
be
gonna
you and one
say, I
person.
feel like charcuterie boards are gonna be the new Uber Eats. Like, let's order a charcuterie board for tonight. Like, like let's
Right.
make, like, Wednesday nights charcuterie nights. Like, now we're wind down with our charcuterie too. You know what I mean? Like, l-
Exactly.
let's incorporate it so that it's something that we look forward to and that we know we're gonna come together to enjoy. So it's like it could be a
Right.
family night, charcuterie night. Everybody bring your charcuterie. What do
I've
you
had
want to bring?
people ask me to like pair um someone did like a girls weekend in New York. They weren't from here, and they ordered a charcuterie, like two charcuterie boxes from me, and they were like, "Can you recommend wines to pair with it?" And I was like, "Ooh, I've never done that." So I
Yeah,
got to research, and it just brought a different element to my business. I was like, "I'm
I
gonna
love
start
that.
advertising that." Like, I didn't even think to do that before, but
If you
that's
want wine pairings, there you go.
definitely
I love that. I love that for you because I can tell it's like it gives you joy because you're styling the
for sure.
food, you're making it pretty, you're making it special, and then you know that someone's enjoying it. And I think that that's clicking for like the mother in you now because you're
Totally.
a new mom. It's like there's certain things that you didn't know you'd find satisfying, right? It's like,
It's so funny because when I was a kid and my mom would make food or she'd make something new that she's never made before, she would like watch my expression when I
mhm,
tried it for the first time to see like is she enjoying it? Does she like it? Like, and I feel the same with the charcuterie board, and even having a 1-year-old and him like starting to eat the food we eat and just seeing his facial expressions for
yes,
different flavors and stuff like that. I feel the same with the charcuterie board. Like when I watch people eat it, if they're eating it while I'm around, I'm like, do you like it? What do you like about it? What, like, I start to just,
yeah,
that motherly side of me comes out and I'm like, what do you like about
exactly.
it? Oh, do you like how that tastes? Should I get that again? Like I start to ask those questions,
I
and
love that.
I love that aspect of it because I want it to feel, of course I enjoy if people like it. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't care about
Right.
people enjoying
I
it. But
feel
it's
like
like,
with the mother aspect, it's just like turned up a notch. Like when you're a
yeah,
mom, it's like you're waiting for people to just enjoy what you're giving them as far as, food, drink, anything,
right,
whatever you're giving them. It's like you want to see that joy in them. Um,
100%.
it's just so rewarding. I love it.
Definitely.
I'm so
But let me
excited
ask you a
for you.
question. How
Yeah.
did you get started in the life coaching and like what made you want to get into that?
So it's kind of a funny story, as they say. Years ago, I was a Beachbody coach and I loved it. I had just had my baby. So this was, I believe, 8 years ago now. Alana was probably like 6 or 8 months old, and I had put on a lot of weight. I had no idea how to like work out anymore. I was just like stuck at home. I was just like so discouraged. So I went into that and I loved it. I started working out, feeling better, losing weight, and then I was coaching people because part of that is helping the next person do the same. And that just opened me up so much as a person, as a mom, as a woman. And that's when I started to learn about personal growth, just enjoying the fact that I was doing something and I was growing and I was enjoying it, and it wasn't work, but it was rewarding. So I was
Right.
making money, I was going on trips. I was like, this is the life. Like, I
Right.
love this and I'm helping people. And I had no idea how much I really enjoyed helping people until then. So fast forward to now, the pandemic kind of put everybody in that space of like, what do I really want for my life? And sad to say, it was not the family business. As much as I loved being there and being that for my family, if I was truly honest with myself, it was not what I wanted to do with my life. So I had to just like take a breather, like mourn that.
That's some real shit though.
That's some real shit, bro. And that honestly, like, it's been a roller coaster, but I had to sit with that for a minute and then just like ask myself, like, Jenny, what do you want to do? If you had all the money in the world and nothing was an issue, what would you want to do? And I said, well, I was my happiest at coaching. I was my happiest at helping. So I didn't want to tie it to anything in particular. And so life coach just came to life because in that moment, I went to my coach and she is a life coach. So at talking to her, working through that, she's like, this might be the perfect fit for you. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong. I'm like, I can't be a coach because X, Y, and Z. And she's like, those are excuses. What's the real reason? And once I really dug deep and answered those questions, it was like, I have to be a coach because this is what I really want. I have to put these excuses aside because they're just holding
Totally.
back. And once I went for it, it was obviously scary as hell. I'm like, oh my God, am I really doing this? Some days I'm like, I'm still doing this. And then I get those reminders like, you're doing this. It's working. You're seeing it through and it's coming together. I'm so excited for, all of the things that I'm going to be able to do because even though life coaching is like my passion and my heart, I love connecting people. I love marketing. I love social. I love events. So, we have the music label, and I've just been like dipping
I
and
was gonna ask you
dabbling.
about that. How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm like super excited because there's just like so many things that I see are like, okay, this is coming next, and we're doing this next, and like it every day is different, so it's like when you're a creative and every day could be different, that's like the most invigorating thing. It just keeps you energized, it keeps you going. And
Right.
me and my partner, we've just been like totally synced in, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be life coaching, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be doing Wind Down Wednesday. So when you said, like your main thing is like your partner, I'm like, yes, like we need to talk more about that because when you have the right person by your side, it's like it's unstoppable force, like
100%.
you have so many things against you, right? When you're going for your dream and you're going for your goal, but like when you have somebody by your side, like you got this, keep going.
100%. I think that
There's
was one of
no
the
there's no
first
right.
conversations that I had with my husband before we were married, or like at the very beginning of our relationship. And we've known each other for a really long time. When I met him initially, he was had just started at in where he works now, and I had already been like seasoned in my career. But I know that one of the main things that we bonded over was just that we were so understanding of each other's careers.
Mm.
And I get, as a stylist, like, if I'd before I was with him, if I'd meet a guy, he'd be like, "Can you style me?" And I would just be like, "Ugh," like I would just get
Like,
instantly annoyed because I'm like, they don't know what it means, they don't get it, and I understand that it's like if you don't know what a stylist does, you don't get it, and you
right.
just think it's like it's one of those things where it's kind of like a like, oh yeah, she's a stylist, whatever. So when he actually understood what it meant to be a stylist, what it takes, like all the stuff, I was like, wow, it's really refreshing to talk to a guy that is,
Appreciates,
I,
can see your
yeah.
worth.
And I understood his career because I work with musicians. I had styled so many different musicians and artists and whatever. So I knew, I'm like, wow, like we could really work together. We could be a power couple.
Yeah,
And it was, he
are.
encouraged me, I encouraged him. Thank you.
You
And
are.
it was like, I remember we used to say, like, when I first got pregnant, he's like, well, after you have the baby and things pick up, because obviously we had him during the pandemic, he'd be like, we could go on the road together. I'm going to tour and I'm going to fly you guys out and we're going to do this and we're going to bring our baby to concerts and, you know, all these
Yeah,
like,
I love
all
it.
these cool
Family on
things
the
that we wanted to do.
road.
Yeah, we were like, we will be able to do all that stuff together because our careers will be able to sort of like flow together in a
Flow
way.
together.
And
Yes.
that hasn't happened yet because obviously, you know, we're still going through um figuring out what that
Ish.
dynamic is
Issue.
like. But
Right.
one of the things that we said together, and I think it's the most important, is that we were like, we're going to define what our relationship and what our family looks like.
I
If
love
that means
that.
being on the road, that means being on the road. If that means like we're not always going to be able to be on the road. Eventually our kid's going to get older and he's going to need stability.
Right.
But if he's out at, you know, a couple days over here, over there with his artists, we'll fly out. And he's
Mhm.
like, you know, you're going to be flying out to do your styling. So you'll be away. We'll come
Mhm.
visit you. Like, we just want to redefine what a family is according to what
Absolutely.
we
To
want.
make it work. Because I feel like
100%.
for so long it was just like, oh, mom stays home with the kids, dad goes out to work. No, how about each individual follow your path, what your purpose is in life, figure out what that is. And I feel like so often we overlook the dads, you know, like it's like, oh, dad whatever, dad whatever, dad whatever. But I feel like the women like us who are able to kind of get a grip of ourselves and then know what we want, we find the men who know what they want. And then it's just like, boom, you know, now we
Right.
become this power couple. And there's a lot of there's a lot that goes into, you know, deciding, are we a traveling family, are we a stay at home family, are we doing this, are we doing that? And I feel like a lot of times we just go with, you know, what it is that we grew up with. And if it's not working, like it's not working. So how do we break out of that and say, let's do away with the old school and let's figure it out
Right.
for us? Like how do we
Right.
how do we navigate that, you know? And I feel like having those conversations is like key. So I love that you brought that up. I love that you guys are living your life that way. And I could tell. I could tell. I'm like looking and I'm just like, I'm so proud. I'm so happy. I'm so excited every time I see you guys. You know, it's just,
Thank you.
this is what I wanted for my generation and my family. I
Of
wanted our
course.
generation to break those cycles. And when I see that, it's like, you know, his sister posted on his birthday and I was just like, exactly, you know, just like it was just like that's exactly how I feel. And it gives me
Totally.
joy. I'm so happy for you guys. I'm so excited for
Thank
your
you.
business. I know it's going to be everything you want it to be. And if that means let it be what you need it to be. I love that.
Totally. And one thing too, I would say, and this goes for relationships, business, whatever, be open-minded to change. Like it's not always going to necessarily look like what you expect it or think it's going to look like. You have to give it room to change and grow.
Yes,
Because I
absolutely.
think people will be like, I need it to be like this and like this and like this, and it doesn't end up being that way, and then they don't
Guilty.
pursue it or right,
Guilty.
same,
I
same.
say to my partner all the time, you are the first person who has been able to make me see like I'm not always going to be right and that's okay. And I don't have to defend myself just because I'm not right.
Right.
I just felt like it takes a certain type of man to be able to do that, you know, and
100%.
it's just refreshing when you get to do what you love to do and still be enjoying your time with your partner, you know?
100%. I think people too, especially our generation, and I could say this for my previous relationships, I don't think I was ever really friends with my partner. And in
Mhm.
this relationship, I feel like we're friends first and
Yes.
everything else happened after. And because of that, it gave us the platform to be understanding and to be adaptive and to
Foundation.
be,
Absolutely. You knew each
yeah, and
other
like,
before you got to the commitment part. I feel like a lot
right,
of times people skip the knowing before they commit. And you guys knew each other before you committed. I feel like
a
that's a big key.
hundred percent, a
And I
hundred
feel like
percent,
that's like relationship and business, like you said. You have to know what you're getting into before you commit to it.
a
So if
hundred
you want
percent.
to do this business and you're hell bent on starting, know what you're getting into, research, ask questions, find out. And, everybody's here to help. I think that a lot of times people are afraid to reach out to people, ask questions, and I mean, you answer me if I'm wrong. Anyone that you reached out to, I don't think they were rude when they said they were not interested. They're
Never.
not interested, you know?
And honestly, it actually helped me redefine my business in a way because I was like, okay, I'm not getting the response that I wanted, but that's fine. I'm just gonna readjust it into this, or I'm gonna
Pivot,
yeah, exactly, pivot. And
having
not
that.
even that, but also I think the biggest thing that helped me was putting myself in future Sonia and being like,
Mm,
what is what is this going to look like in 5 weeks, 5 years? Like, what do I want this to look like? And
that.
then going back and being like, okay, you know what? No, I'm going to reshift and repivot and do all this stuff and
Yes.
realign and rearrange and then continue, but
You
not in a way
gotta
where it's like
go.
scramble, but just keep it going, keep it moving.
Exactly. You gotta go with the flow. Sometimes in life, it's like my mom always says, the hurrier you are, the behinder you get. So
That's
take
true.
it easy, take it slow, figure it out, and everything will flow, everything will fall into place. And I think that that's
Totally.
what you've done in a way that's just like so feminine and motherly and just natural, and it's beautiful.
Thank
Like,
you.
I
Thank
love
you.
to see it. I know that it just means like there is healthy growth, healthy family. It just shows that there's a lot of love, and I love that.
Thank
I really
you.
am happy to see it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let me see. We went we spoke for an hour.
I know. It was a good conversation, though. I really
It was
enjoyed it.
great. Yeah, I didn't even feel like did that long, but
No,
thank
it
you
went by
everyone
fast.
who joined. I want to give you a chance to kind of let everyone know, is there anything coming next, or what to look out for, or how to order if they want to place an order, etc.,
Yep.
etc.
So you can go to my page, which is pinned Artisan by Sonia. And we have Mother's Day orders coming up. So that's coming to a fast approach. And then all the other, any like events or I guess holidays coming up in the summer, we have availability. You can just DM me. I think my email and my phone is attached. I'm not 100% sure to
Awesome.
double check that, but you can definitely DM me for orders. And I can do customized stuff. I can do simple boards. You could send me a picture and I could like base it off of that. I'm very easygoing and very adaptable to whatever people want.
Yes,
And then
super
we,
flexible.
we have different sizes. I do offer delivery within a vicinity. So if you are interested and you're in the New York area, just let me know and I can tell you if I do deliver to that area or bring it to a meeting spot or something like that. I'm very flexible in regards to that. And besides that, yeah, I'm open for business and people can message me anytime and I'm happy to answer questions or give a quote or a
Yeah,
rate or whatever.
awesome. Thank you so much. I
No
appreciate you coming
problem.
on. This is great.
Thank you for having
We got
me.
to do this again soon in person now.
Definitely, definitely. We have to have a little family get together.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Have
you,
a
thank you,
wonderful
thank
night.
you. You too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.